it all leads back to Christian rap. Like
This is an after-school program podcast.
What key are we in, G?
Hey, welcome to Church Stories Podcast. PD, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm starting very robotically today. Chase, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. It's really hot in here, but I put a jacket on,
Yeah.
so it made it worse.
Hey, I wish two people would have got to the studio earlier and came up the steps and turned the AC down.
First of all, I did not know that Chase is in the van. I'm afraid of the homeless people that walk
They're
around.
not home. It's the studio. I'm just kidding. Maybe they are. You need a good call. Hey, let's go ahead and introduce our guest.
Yeah, hit us with the
Chase,
music,
hit
Chase. Today on Church Stories
Podcast. Today we have a guest who's originally a Greenville local just like us who moved out to the West Coast.
Did plenty of crappy open mics with us.
Did plenty of crappy open mics where all we got paid in was with fries. And now he's in the big leagues. He's done stuff for Netflix, CBS,
He was on Rory
Fox.
Scoville's special.
commercials. Rory Scoville. That's it's awesome.
If
Ladies
you
and
watched
gentlemen,
football in
credit.
2019, you saw his face.
he was also in he was also in a trio Christian rap group collective. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Fray Forde.
Dog, that is the greatest intro I've ever had in my career. Wow.
Man, dude. Thanks, man. Listen,
That was a good spot.
we had to save the Christian rap trio career. That's we had to save the best for last.
Yeah,
We had
it's
to-
like
I do
Natty
like the
Light
Bill
commercials, doesn't matter.
Been in Netflix shows? Nah, bro. A Christian rap collective in the early 2000s? Was it mid 2000s? I don't know.
Yeah. We always called it a collective. That was definitely the phrase.
Really?
Have you heard my collective?
Fray, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Amazing.
Yeah. So first of all, you tell us about yourself, and then tell us how you were like, Greenville, I'm too big of a fish in this tiny pond. I need more water to swim in.
I was screaming that as I was driving away.
Just
And
for
then I
30
was
hours.
pulled over.
I'm still too big. I'm getting smaller. Yeah. So tell us about yourself, man, and then how you ended up where you're at right now. This like the condensed.
Man, it's it definitely is. I was actually just saying this to someone the other day. It all leads back to Christian rap. Like every major like moment in my life could probably be traced back to a song called G.O.D. That's how it went. No, I started. My dad was a huge rap fan. And when I was a kid, he had a rap group when he was younger, and he got very close to getting signed by Madonna, and it fell apart. And so for the rest of his life, he was like, I feel like I was so close. That was my moment. And so we were going to church, and he was like, they were doing this Christmas gala thing, and they wanted to do a bit where they had a Public Enemy song called Fight the Power. And then they were like, what if we switch it to Fight the Devil? And we'll perform that, because the audience is going to get this Public Enemy reference for sure. And be very into it. And they tried to get a bunch of rappers to do it, and no one would do it. And then they settled on me and my friend. And I performed for the first time at 8 years old, and I got hooked, and I performed, did Christian rap for 6 years, and then that led to stand-up, which led to acting, which led to movies, which led to all this stuff. And it all kind of traces back there.
So you were a 6-year Christian rap vet.
Oh, I'm a veteran in the game, bro. Open for Lecrae, Tripoli,
Dude,
KJ
really?
Did you really?
Kirk Franklin.
Dang,
Oh.
man. Dude, that's crazy.
It was a long time ago.
So how old were you when you retired?
What a funny sentence. I was 14.
That's what I'm trying to say. So at 14, so like 15 and 16, you were walking around. You're like, I've done it. What do you?
Yeah.
What do you want to be, a rapper? I've done it. I was a rapper. You're like, you're talking to all the kids around you.
You got
like
a candy cigarette. You're like, I've opened for Lecrae. I've got him on speed dial.
you just do those Will Smith inspirational speeches. Like, believe in yourself. You could do whatever you want. I opened for I'm 14 years old. I lived my dreams for 6 years. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I definitely, it's funny, I did have a major chip on my shoulder afterwards. Like, I definitely walked around for a few years, like, everyone should know I was famous. Like, in one world, I was very famous, and now I'm no longer famous, and this is very weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, can I, we can ask something?
I was just going to ask, like, what was the biggest show you did as a Christian rapper?
I did The Call at a San Diego stadium, like the big arena, and so I think it's like 18,000 or something like that.
Wow.
And that was the biggest, yeah. And actually, it's funny. I was at a time where I was really trying to prove like I could make my own rapper look. I didn't want to look like the other rapper, and so I decided I was going to be the rapper who wore Hollister and flip flops. And so I performed in Hollister flip flops. And
at the call, is that you performed
at the Call?
Wow.
Yeah. And I almost
got a pink polo. I got to do my own thing.
It was literally because of Kanye West. I thought that Kanye West would do something like that, and I tried to do it.
Now, backstage, was anybody like, Fray, like, we got your shoe size, my man. Like, dude, you don't have to do this. We got you, man.
Members,
really?
Literally, my group members were very angry. They really wanted me to match them in their early 2000s rap aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I wanted to really break out the box.
Man.
So you wanted to be the Justin of the collective.
Hey, this kind of segues into something that I've thought a lot about, and I've talked to a lot of creators. I came up in church, and I played music in church. My dad was a pastor, so I was very involved. But I've told people over and over, like every creative person, a lot of creative people that I know, also kind of came up in church. And every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, because that's like the one place where you can be and do, and it's encouraged, and nobody cares if you're bad. You know what I mean?
They just need somebody.
To do it. I mean, it's like proximity and availability. So I go back and forth. Just like sometimes I resent like my some aspects of my Christian upbringing of church, but then I'm also in some regards like hearing from you, especially like you're jokingly saying that it all goes back to Christian rap, but in like a way you were. Where else were you going to be able to get like an outlet like that, or for us to be able to get, like I met PD at church, but we also we wrote stuff and we did stuff, and it's just encouraged. A lot of great directors also started off working for production companies at churches, and they were like, hey, here's equipment, here's gear, make something every single week. So you have to like hone, you have to really you're practically like given those 10,000 hours just because you have to repeat over and over and over again. So.
Literally, well, if they don't let you on, they're kind of jerks. Because they should give everyone a chance, because that's the holy thing to do.
Right.
So if you know that, you're kind of mean. I had a pastor. I was really bad at drums, and I really wanted to be good at the drums. And I could not stay on beat to save my life. I still can't, which is weird because I rap.
Yeah.
And he let me play the drums for a service. And I know that was the opposite of whiplash.
Yeah.
It was just pure terror on the drum set. And he was really nice, and he let me do it.
Yeah,
he taught me a nice time.
Yeah.
It's almost to a fault. Like I remember growing up in church, in the early 2000s, where somebody would just show up with a cassette. Did you ever? I mean, remember somebody would just show up the tiny country churches or whatever? Because I've been to hundreds of churches in the Southeast. Somebody would show up with a cassette, and they'd just be like, "I wanna do a special," and they'd be like, we got Fray Forde, the Forde niece. She's in from New York, and she'd like to sing a little song. And they take that cassette. It was like the track, you had to rewind it because it had like the main song, the song with just the chorus, and then like the song with the chorus of vocals, and then like the song with no vocals, and they'd have to find the spot. And yeah, somebody would just be like, hey, my daughter's back from college, and she's gonna sing 3 Wooden Crosses on the right side of the highway, and she sings it, and it's painful, but yeah, church. It's like a never-ending like open mic.
My dad was that, like, he was he's very driven, I think, because he did those things when he was younger. And he was the one who, like, taught me work ethic in regards to, like, art and performing. He was just like, you just gotta do it all the time. Do it every day. Like, doesn't matter when.
Do it until Madonna reaches out.
Whoever reaches out. You say yes. And we would perform in, like, fields, and we would show up, and there was no stage or mic, and we would open up the minivan, the back door, and play our CD and rap just like in a field for people. And it, he was right. It taught me how to like get through any performance. You're like, hey, it'll work out.
So you just set up in a field, and then slowly, like, they wander through the cornfields and watch your set.
Oh man.
Wander off.
Okay, so that's gonna kind of lead into. I mean, we'll talk about stand-up too, but I feel like a majority of stand-up is also. I can't tell you how many shows I've been at in Greenville. We were supposed to perform, and then like they're like the show starts at 8. There's like 2 people, and then you're like, oh, we starting? And then somebody, before you know it, somebody grabs the mic and they're like, guys, are y'all ready for some stand-up? And you're like, oh, okay, I guess it's happening.
No one's ready.
Nobody's ready. People are there for sliders, and then you do stand up. I did a show one time with Chris Freeland, and by the time he went on, everybody else had left the room, and it was just me. So he did his 5-minute set to me, and then the host came up on stage. I'm not gonna say who the host was. Went up on stage, introduced me, stepped outside to the sidewalk to smoke. I went up and I just went, hey, Chris, how are you? And then just did my set for Chris. Yeah, it was painful.
That sounds like a really good like band rehearsal. Just working out the kinks, dog.
And like a weird SNL audition where they're like, it's one
it's
camera.
just like 3 people.
There's 70 people in an undisclosed location.
One time I was hosting, and I forgot about the whole light thing, and I was just letting people do.
They're like, thanks, man.
And then somebody yelled out like, wait, how much time have I done?
You're like, oh.
And I was like, I just said, wrap it up.
Too much. You did too much.
Oh man. So from Christian rap to now you're in California. You've been out there for a while. You've been 2 years.
Been out here for 3 years.
3 years. Man, that's awesome.
I think one of them doesn't count.
COVID. Oh man, dude.
Yeah, but we got here in like end of 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always really cool. A few people who have left Greenville. It's like, Fray, they're out in California now. So it's like, when you come up in conversation.
Is that what that is? Oh, he's out in California.
He's doing it big.
He's California dreaming.
Sounds like when your pet died and it's like, oh, he went to the farm. He's out there. He's having a lot of fun. He's doing great.
Oh,
no, but anytime you pop up in a commercial, I point and go, it's Fray. And then I would do it every single time. So during football season, anybody watching football with me would get very annoyed hearing, it's Fray.
It's Fray. Man.
Hey,
the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme with Rick pointing at the screen.
Yeah.
We're actually this podcast. We're not actually recording this podcast. PD and I just we're developing a show with you in mind called It's Fray.
Dude, I'm already writing that. Oh no.
And it's Fray. It's Fray. It's Fray.
It's you and
Fray.
your father-in-law, Bert Kreischer.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
it.
hoping for Seth
It's-
Rogen.
It's just like the first episode of WandaVision, just black and white, 4:3 cropped. It's slow. Everybody talks like this. See, and it's right. It's right. That's it.
That's literally my favorite kind of content. So, we're just saying things that I like and I'm very into.
Oh man. So what? Tell us the progression from church rap to where you are now, man. Like you've been in TV shows and some movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Commercials.
Yeah,
I mean,
bad ones, but they exist. Yeah. Can
yeah.
I say that? I think there's like enough time where you could say something you were in was bad. Like, what's the lapse of time?
Well, sometimes people just don't mention it.
Oh, that's no fun.
Do you know what I mean? But I feel like the more stuff you do, the more stuff you're embarrassed, of. That finally, like you were like I was watching something with my wife last night, and I had to bring up. I was like, oh, I did this one short film with somebody, and we were like in the woods. I don't even remember what it was. I've never even seen the film. I don't even know if they put it out. But you just don't. I don't even remember. Yeah. So how? Like, tell us about. Like how'd you end up where you are now?
Man, I think
You
it's,
and your girl and your wife, Catherine.
me and my wife make stuff together.
Yeah,
We direct and write together. No, it's fun. It's super fun. I mean, it's so weird. It's like a long story. I don't even know where to begin. I think once I did Christian rap, I really liked performing, and I liked being on stage. And I think I wanted to find a way to find my own voice. And which I really, you don't know any of these things while you're doing it. Like in hindsight, you realize at the time I just, missed being on stage and missed people applauding me over and over. And I dabbled with, I watched a lot of comedy. Me and my friends were obsessed with comedy. Since I was a little kid, though, all I wanted to do was make movies. Since I was 3, 4 years old. I would write movies. I would make movies in my, head. I would draw superheroes all the time, that kind of stuff. And so I started getting into, specifically film comedy. I got into, Judd Apatow and that kind of wave of 2000s comedy. And I was like, I think I just that's what I want to do. I want to be those guys. They look like they have a lot of fun. And I want to find a way to do that. And I saw the movie Funny People. Have you guys seen Funny People?
Yeah.
I love Funny People. I'm obsessed with this movie. I make everyone watch it. No one likes it. It's just for me. I don't know why I keep suggesting this film to people. My wife likes it. She's the only person. Another person is like. And so
the one person who did you were like, I gotta marry you. I guess that's how this works, right?
Lock it up, dog. So I saw Funny People, and I got really into stand-up because of it. I just got obsessed with stand-up as a craft, and I moved back to Greenville. I was in Alabama for a while, and I had a buddy who was like, I want to do some stand-up. And I didn't think I was funny enough to do it. And so I was like, oh, I can be his manager. I will manage him in comedy. Yeah. And that'll be my route. And then I watched him do a set, and I was like, I'm funnier than him, bro. I could do that. That didn't look that hard, And so the next week I did a set, and it went well for what at the time was what I thought was really well. And everyone was very nice. All the Greenville comedians were very nice. And I became obsessed with it. I did it all the time. And that opened the door to working with people on set and meeting people like my buddy Chaz Scoble. You all know Chaz.
Yeah.
Me and Chaz started making shorts together and making little silly, stupid things together. And we were obsessed with watching movies all the time. And then I was like, man, I'm going to move to Atlanta. I want to really pursue comedy. I want to do the real thing in the big city or whatever. And people do 5 sets a night there. I thought it was this mystical comedy land where you could do all the comedy in the world. And right before I moved, I got cast in a short film, my first time as an actor. And the director was my now wife. And that's how we met. And we connected. And I moved to Atlanta. And we were friends and would support each other. Then we started dating, and then we were like, "Yo, let's make a movie." And so we made our movie called Good Hair, and it's about us being a couple fighting over conditioner.
And it's a fantastic
I think I
movie.
still have the pic that I'll never be able to use that I got from that premiere.
Oh yeah. It was a fantastic premiere, man, and a great movie too. Just a
I really appreciate that. That's very kind. Thank you so much.
Andrew Bradford with behind the camera, freaking tasty visuals, man.
That man's great.
Yeah.
And Dedrick, who I've always wanted to work with, he is hilarious,
dude. Yeah, I will say, like, man, I remember you and I went to the premiere together, right?
Yeah.
Here in Greenville, and there was a moment, I think, individually between PD and I, and also together, watching the amount of people who showed up and how big and like laughing together and enjoying your film. I was like, oh wow, like I think that was the first time that I realized, like, oh, okay, so it is possible in Greenville. Like you can create in Greenville, and of course, the goal is to to do bigger and bigger things. But I feel like people really like I don't know. People were like, oh, it's local in Greenville. Nobody makes good things here. But watching your film here, I was like, wow, like this is super cool. This is super cool, and it was made, in the it just reaffirms.
We didn't make it in Atlanta. I will say that.
But but you're. Hey, listen, we're claiming you. But
I'll say, some dude from Birmingham, like, no.
I'll say, but still though, like you had a great turnout for that premiere. Right, people came out and supported, and it was just a great night, man. And I don't think I've experienced anything like that with film, with like films made in the Southeast, people that I know since that one or before that one. Like I've never experienced, and I've been at some film. Yeah, it's not the same, man. Like it was very different that night. It was very encouraging.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. That was the moment where we realized, like, that's what we want to do. It was like, like we Kat's the same way. We've dabbled in, like, stand up and this and that, and she did theater and she did all these different things. But those moments of like screening Good Hair, screening our movies, and like getting that real time audience response, and not even just from the comedy, but seeing that we created emotion that was effective was really, like, it felt like a bigger feat than making a joke. Like, it was like, I've seen people cry to make believe pretend stuff that we created.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. Like, I remember a dude coming up, like, in tears. This was like a dude in his 30s. And he was like, I just broke up with my girlfriend recently, and I should have said all of those things to her, and I regret everything. And he was like, and I was like, dude, go find her, go get her, man. Like,
he must have been so touched by Kyle Nolan's performance.
He was very moved. He was very, very moved by Kyle Nolan.
I mean, listen, there was like, I feel like for the longest time, myself, a lot of comments that I got, compliments from people were like everybody described it as, oh, like your little video, like your little thing, like the little things that you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your little stuff.
And so I feel
or like it's like a real movie.
Right. And it's like, what do you think we're doing? So it's, I mean, it sucks to say, like, of course success is always good, but I feel like, little big wins like that kind of cement what you're capable of, not only to you, but to other people. People can no longer be like, oh yeah, Fray's trying to do a little film thing. No, it's like, no, Fray and Catherine are making films. Same thing like we did for a long time. Like, oh, you're making little videos. You're like, no, like they've been seen by a lot of people. At what point
you
can
guys
they
are
stop
a
being
comedy
little?
empire.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by. I
appreciate
see
it,
online
man.
all the time. You guys are also crushing it in every way.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Long time coming, man. But honestly, it's been, it's just super cool
sorry.
to.
I have to interrupt. I'm a giant fan of this hipster pastor. I've shown this to Kat. I think it's very funny. I know this guy. The guy he pushing the edge, bro.
Yeah.
He made us all up, bro. Pull it back.
Yeah.
I love that. It's very funny.
You used to go to Redemption. Did you go to Redemption when you lived in town? So I mean, yeah. You know about that culture.
I grew up in Redemption for like like 17, 18 years.
Wow.
Bro. Like my mom worked there in the media department. My dad was the first cameraman there.
Wow.
Like, I thought like everyone grew up like that. Like just knee deep in mega church. That was my entire childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Petey and I have been writing those the loose cannon guest speakers, and at this point, we're just trying to outdo each other in outlandish things to say.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
It's a competition between him and I, and like when people watching and enjoying it is almost like that's almost like a byproduct of him and I texting each other at 2 a.m. and being like, what if he said, what if you don't need a mental health day, you need a man who'll take your sins away? Like, what if that? And it's like, all right, you win. What if you don't need a therapist, you need the man Judas kissed? Both PD lines, by the way, which I'm like, okay, you win again. Fine.
I'll bow.
Wait. You don't need a therapist. You need a Judas.
You need the man Judas
You need the
kiss.
man Judas kiss.
Oh, the man Judas.
It's so bad.
Hey, that's pretty funny, bro.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Oh,
you.
man. But we have fun, man. And you know Chase.
Yeah, of course.
We've been working with
Oh,
Chase a
Chase
ton.
he went to school with my sister.
Yeah. He was-
Actually, one of the worst moments of my life, Fray was present for. We were doing this one act play, and there was this bit during the play where they pick a random, like quotation marks on random, audience member to come up and kiss a chicken for $1, right? So the first night,
real chicken?
No, it's rubber chicken.
Okay.
The first night it was me. I was to be the random audience member. I go up and they're like, "I'll give you $1 if you kiss the chicken." I make out with the chicken. They give me the $1, and they go to take the chicken back, and I do a bit where I was like, "No," and then I walked off with the chicken, and everybody laughed. Right? It killed.
Yeah.
The next
I'm
night,
so funny. I love it.
the next night, Fray comes to watch his sister. We do the same bit, except I'm not the random audience member. It's my friend Jada. Jada goes up. She takes the chicken. She makes out with the chicken, goes to leave, and takes the chicken with her. She took my bit,
Oh.
and it killed so hard, like way better than mine. And
Dang.
afterwards, me and Jada are walking like through the audience, and Fray stops her and goes, "That was hilarious."
Oh, you were robbed. That's like that Key and Peele sketch. Like you were robbed of your
yeah.
bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, dude.
Oh, I didn't realize the setup to that story.
I think about that every day.
I love that for the that's like comedy blocking too. You had to be close enough for him to compliment her. Like you had to hear that.
Well, hey, I just want you to know that was very funny.
Thanks, man.
Very, very
That's
funny.
the
You
validation I've
deserve
been begging for years now.
Hey, listen.
It's a 5-year delayed, yeah.
Somebody stole from you. That's Hollywood, baby. That's get in
Welcome
line.
to the club.
Oh man. So dude, tell us about you've been in a bunch of really cool projects. You've been in like some Netflix shows. Like how's that been? I mean, honestly, like it's cool. It's cool to see, you know. And I don't know what you have to say about it, but yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah. You know, it's funny acting. Like you were saying, we're talking about good hair. That's always going to be more like creatively gratifying. Not that like acting's very fun and being on stuff's fun, but it's so quick. Like they play a lot, and so I come onto a show that's like already been running, and everyone's like best friends, and they're all hanging out, and you're like the random person at the party that's like, I'm just happy to be here, dog. And you try to be cool and be fun and be someone like people want to hire again. And I try to like be as funny as I can possibly be, those kind of things. But like they always go so fast, and then it's over, and you're like, wow, that's already done. That already slipped by, and you're on to the next thing. It's not until you watch the things when they come out where you're like, oh, I was in a TV show, like a real life TV show. That's so bizarre, because it doesn't feel any different than when you're like on a short film set,
Right.
or you're on like you're just on a set. Every everyone's moving. You're trying to do your best, and you're hoping you're giving a good performance. And then afterwards, it's moody and there's color grading, and you're like, this is a real thing. It's super cool. And so, yeah, it's been very fun. It's the coolest. I was in a movie called Daphne and Thelma, which was this like Scooby-Doo spin-off. And that was actually the coolest because my little brother was obsessed with it. And he was 5 at the time. And so that was the only time where I felt cool. Like, he was very into it. And so that's probably my favorite experience was impressing my little brother.
Yeah, yeah.
The very first It's Fray was for Rory Scovel's special. When you popped up with the intro of that. That was super cool. I love that special.
He's so funny. He's like the funniest guy in the world.
Dude, I mean, how? That's every time I'll talk to him. Freeland and I will talk. I'd be like, hey, did you see that his set on? I'm like, how is this man just, where does he pull it from?
He knows about my tubing injury. Did I tell you all that?
Yes.
No, Rory and Fray.
Really?
Yeah, well, Fray, because...
How does Rory know?
Rory knows because he came to where I work, and I wasn't there, and my coworkers told him about the story. They're like, he's a huge fan of you. He would be here if he didn't, like, bust his arm tubing. And they told him the whole story. Man. Yeah, but then Fray has a bit about tubing that I guess was, like, stuck somewhere in my mind, because when I had this accident, I just kept thinking about your bit while I was on the way to the hospital.
Which is, even calling it a bit is a stretch. It was just because I would just say white people like tubing. That was the gist of the bit. Was me being like, there's a lot of white people here. That's cool. I know what white people like. I like tubing too. It's fun. That was the whole joke.
For some reason, that's been stuck in my head for a long time.
We did the Stone Grown comedy. It was like
the
tour. Yeah, I did. So we did a couple days together, and I cannot tell you how hard that bit killed in a room full of white people. And Chuck was always so funny.
You know what I learned?
Some white
not
people
in
eating
California.
Wings. It doesn't.
Not in California.
Really?
Like when I moved here, I did that bit. I don't think they tube here, and they in general don't like the white people jokes.
They don't like white people jokes.
They don't like race jokes out here because they're very serious about it, which is actually turns out progressive. I didn't know. I had no idea.
So it's good outside of the comedy club, just not good inside of it.
Yeah, it's very good for personal growth and development, but it does not work well at a comedy club. They were just kind of like, okay, sure.
It's like, man, I know there are less hate crimes, but my bits aren't working.
This place needs some racism.
Hey, so now I'm curious how many other bits, like, it's not like you were doing specific like Southeast U.S. comedy. How many other bits like don't register on the West Coast? Like, what other kind of bits?
Even if you don't realize you actually are.
Oh, like
that's what I learned.
Like South Carolina,
there's a difference, and it's not like, I think people assume that that means like you're gonna be like Larry the Cable Guy, like we were saying. But I do just think what people laugh at is different here.
Yeah.
And the things they respond to and the things they find funny are just very different. And I just went back to Atlanta recently, and I did notice that there were a lot of white-black jokes, where there was like a Middle Eastern guy like, hey, don't worry, I'm not a terrorist, or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think anyone would say that in LA.
Yeah.
That would not be funny here. People would be like, why are you saying that? You don't have to say that. Talk about bicycles or something.
Yeah.
Like, talk about something else. They just don't find those topics funny. But I think it's because they're trying very hard to make those things respectful and like treat them with like the weight that they deserve, which is a good thing,
Yeah.
But it was a weird transition because I was just selfish. I was like, why are my jokes not working? What is going on?
So
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, just talking to people and going back home and just like being here over time, I did see there was not even good or bad, but there's just a difference.
Yeah.
In what's funny.
So you had to throw away your whole notebook full of black people be like, but white people be like.
Just toss it out. That's why I quit comedy.
Yeah. I remember because I grew up in the Southeast, like when we lived in the States, and there was something that happened in college, something racial happened in college, either to me or somebody had said something, and I remember a lady telling me, she was like, you should move, if you move to a different state, it's just different. And I remember thinking, what do you mean? Because I'd never thought about that before. She was like, yeah, like South Carolina is weird. And then I had been to other states, and I'm like, yeah, it's not like you can't describe it or point it out, but it is just like different here and sometimes here, and yeah, it's just different. You can't.
I went to Alabama, not different.
Worse.
You're like, guys, all right, I'll put on this pillowcase, but I don't know what this all's about.
No, legit, like my first day in Alabama, I overhear a conversation about how like there are too many black people moving in the neighborhood, and I was like, this is worse than South Carolina.
The most racism I ever encountered was when I lived in Alabama, for sure.
Really?
Like, hands down. Like, yeah, it's wild out there, bro. It's full Django. Like, it's crazy.
And the place I was at, the whole town shut down on Sunday. I wanted to go find somewhere to watch the Steelers, like a sports bar or something. Yeah. It didn't exist.
Dude.
Wow. No, I believe that. Yeah, there. Every place different, bro. Every place different.
Yeah. So I find and I've gotten to travel. So and I know enough, cooler people here in South Carolina, like the upstate.
It's about your community.
Yeah, it's about your community. Like I feel like in the past when I was just a part of a community, like my parents were just dragging me along to churches, and I went to like a school or whatever, like a Christian school. I'm like, oh, okay, I do feel this, and I went to like camps with 2 black people. Like I was like, okay, this is very different. But now I'm like, okay, I have a choice between in the people that I spend time with, and I'm like, well, you're not here. You were mean to me, and the people I choose are like, they weren't mean to me.
You made people to spend time with you now.
I do.
Yeah.
I made 2 kids. I'm like, listen, friend list is getting real short. That's awesome, man.
That's
so
funny.
What are you and your wife working on any other project? I mean, okay, I know you're working on projects, but how far along are the projects that you both are working on?
We like everyone, like in the pandemic, we wrote a lot, and we wrote a pilot, and then we had written probably like 4 or 5 pilots, like all half-hour sitcom pilots. Yeah. And then we just realized we're kind of bored of just trying to redo the same thing over and over. And so we've been experimenting with writing like features and just like writing our wildest ideas. Yeah. And the ideas that we always like at night we'll sit around like, wouldn't it be so fun if there was a movie like this? We're just at the point where we're like, well, let's just write movies like that aren't strictly in the comedy category or the drama category, but are just stories that we think are cool and would be fun to make, and about worlds. We have a stand-up idea, and we're like trying to think of worlds we know well and how can we tell really cool personal stories in that. And so we're also like writing separately and like, getting notes from each other and experimenting and just trying to figure out what we want our style to be. And so that's like we're in that writing, experimenting phase.
Yeah. How is it? I would say PD's my writing partner. We write a ton. How is it writing with your wife? Like in terms of,
I couldn't write with my girlfriend.
I can't write with my wife.
Why?
I'm gonna be honest.
Why?
I trust my opinion on television more than hers and that kind of stuff. We fight. We just fight
Well,
all the time.
like something you need to work
TV. We pick a few shows we agree on, and then we only watch those.
So I think her ideas are dumb. I don't want to hear that.
I feel like specifically in writing, like the creative process, PD and I can both pitch stuff to each other, like, hey, that's not good, and I won't take it. I won't take it personally. Like, that's fine, and I'll keep, do something else. But I feel like my wife in particular, like, is like, oh, you didn't. why didn't you like the sweet potatoes that I made for dinner? And I'm like, all right, come on. Like, well, I'm sorry.
Well,
like, it just wasn't. You know
I
what
feel
mean?
like I need to explain something to Fray. See, it all started when she kept saying that The Office was better than 30 Rock. And I just couldn't let it go.
We're like, woman?
I mean, but yeah, I mean, everyone's entitled, I guess. But I agree that 30 Rock is definitely better
30
than
Rock
The
is
Office.
infinitely better than The Office, bro. Tracy Morgan
Infinitely
carries that
better.
show, bro.
I think The Office is very overrated. But
I
that
can't
everyone
say
did.
that enough.
Yeah.
So how is it? Like, so how is it writing with your wife? Just in terms of like, I mean, I don't know, like critiquing each other and keeping the peace. You know what I mean? I feel like with PD and I, like, we keep the peace. So it's like, hey, I said, it's not gonna work. Hey, that's similar to this, and I'm like, I don't think anything else about it. But with a spouse, I feel like, what does the dynamic look like?
That makes sense. No, like, I think it changes and it evolves, and we've learned. I think when we first started writing together, it was very easy to like be sensitive over like, you know, rejected jokes or rejected pitches, or like getting. What was weird too is we write about ourselves a lot, which is why we actually stopped doing this. Is that you write about yourself, and then you know you need like a core emotional drive to the story, that of conflict of some sort. We're the main character, so the conflict has to be between us. So that we got to go, well, what's real conflict that we've had in our lives? And then that starts actual conflict. Or like you bring up topics, you want to, you know, be honest and make things about your life, but then sometimes it feels like too honest, or you have to figure out what the line is of like, what are we willing to put on the page or in front of people, and like what things are just for us. And so you're kind of like figuring out that line. But I think it made us better at communicating out and figuring out and just being like, you know, this is how I feel, or at least it's helped me with that. I was never a person who felt very confident speaking up, free, like stand up or things like that. And so writing has helped us find that honest communication, and also got us to talk about things we probably wouldn't have talked about without writing, and then worked through those legitimately in our own emotional lives. And that's probably the coolest part.
Yeah.
But we don't really argue while we write. And maybe that's my best friend. I don't know. We don't really fight much. And we like the same things. We watch the same things. We're into the same things. And it just clicks. I don't think everyone could do that.
Yeah.
And I've tried. I realized I had tried to write with a bunch of different people. I had always like looked for a writing partner.
Right.
And it never fully clicked until we wrote together. And then it was like, oh, this is it right here. So I don't know why, like in a very specific sense, but I know that I felt it when I felt it, and that we just work well together.
I think we've stumbled onto some self-help stuff you could do. You could like make it seem like y'all were about to split, and then you're like, we wrote a sitcom together, and that's what you have to do. If you buy my book, I'll show you how to write a sitcom to save your marriage.
Yeah. Couple sitcom therapy. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I think that's such a great point for creatives too, people who are listening, is yeah, I feel like I've had people DM me or reach out to me and they're like, hey, dude, we should get together and write something. And that's
a big ask. That's a really big ask.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I mean, you wouldn't make a Thanksgiving dinner with somebody who just you know what I mean? It's like a weird thing. It's
like dating or with someone. Like you're locked in with this person. like for real.
Yeah. It's and there's so much trust. Like PD calls, I answer. Same with PD. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
When my wife calls, I do not answer. I only answer for PD.
You're like, set it for the time. My wife was like, hey, listen, I don't know. It better be a good idea that you probably won't forget. But you know, it is like a thing. Like I don't know if I could start that with somebody else, or if I could coffee meeting my way into igniting that with somebody else. It's like a weird thing. Yeah.
You have to have a real life rapport. You have to like really get each other's, I think, psyches in a way, which I didn't understand until I started writing more, how much of it is like self-help. They're just like genuinely like going like, what makes humans tick and how can humans be better people? How do people change and all those things? Yeah, I think you can't have that like those kind of conversations with someone you just met over a film festival like luncheon.
Yeah. You can't get that through networking? I can't network.
That's actually what
you can't network through it.
A film festival luncheon.
A film festival luncheon with assigned seating. And you're like, you're not going to sit with anybody you know, so that way you can meet somebody new. Shut up.
This is like a speed dating scenario.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's one of those things like when the journey, I was like the journey of writing PD and I is so much more like by the time people see it, somebody had commented, they're like, why don't you laugh when you say this stuff? All the stuff that I make, and I'm like, yeah, I've laughed so much already from just like I've already enjoyed this. First from phone calls and writing and Apple Notes, like I've already enjoyed this so much that by the time we're on set and I'm filming it, I'm almost kind of past it. So it's like even if a lot of stuff doesn't make it to doesn't make it into any kind of production, like we'll just bring it up to each other, or like, here, remember that thing? And that's like, it's like we made it, but we didn't. Nobody else knows about it, but we do. Like we wrote a song that people haven't heard yet. And we're like, that's our song. We wrote that. Nobody's heard it, but they're gonna love it when they hear it. But we got it, and we can listen to it. So it's like this.
Hard. Yeah.
It's like this, like a present that you get to like, like wrap and unwrap and wrap and unwrap over and over again until you mass produce it for many people.
Until you sell your soul and give it away. You're taking. I no longer find this fun.
And then before you know it, you're on season 17 of It's Fray, and you're like, it's Fray, it's Fray, it's Fray.
I'm in interviews going, when can I say this is bad? What's the window where I can criticize?
Oh, man. Hey,
but have you guys tried writing, like, any longer format things? Like, I mean, I'm sure you have, but is there anything you're like, we're trying to make this thing that's a little like bigger in scope, or
we kick stuff around all the time.
We kick stuff around. We want to do a sketch show. That's like that's what we're working towards. Is by the end of this year is having enough material. I mean, something like Key and Peele, Chappelle Show. I think you should leave. Something along those lines. I think you should freaking. Have you seen season 2, dude?
I haven't seen season 2 yet.
Season 2 is
we've been to the whole season yet.
Dude, it's crazy.
Is it still like a really short season?
Yeah, it's like 6 episodes.
Yeah, because I know their process is ridiculous.
So that's what we want to do. The thing that I would say the brick wall that we always hit is if we talk about like a longer project, our first question is like, would we watch this? Do we watch anything like this? And that kind of nips it in the bud early on for us. And that's not in like a bad way, but before we're like, hey, before we get together, and we've talked about doing like a writer's retreat and putting some stuff, just like being in a space together and like hanging out for 3 days in like a cabin somewhere in North Carolina and like putting ideas on the board. But we haven't gotten to that point yet. But yeah, we haven't had anything that we're like, all right, let's take this and like run with it for 130 pages. We wish we could, man. We just haven't had that like spark of genius, man.
After a movie, bro. Give him a whole movie. What's that dude like in his everyday life? How much does he drive his family crazy? The people in his life. That's so funny to me. I'm just saying.
You know this dude drives like a Mazda Miata, doesn't tip at Waffle House. Like you just kind of
He will not stop talking to you on the plane.
No. Of course not. Of course not.
And he's up for some big preacher job.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is my moment. He's got a road tripping across the country. Do this, one last thing. Dude, there's something there.
Maybe it is one of those.
If we're gonna
things,
take a sketch character and put him in a movie, I want to take Pastor Puppet. So it's like mega church pastor, like really mean puppet.
Yeah. We gotta do something like that, man. I think the thing that we've kind of like not wrote ourselves into a corner, but the gratification of like a short thing that you make and put up. Like that hit of dopamine, man. I was like, whoa, let's do this again next weekend. Wow.
Keep this coming. Yeah.
So I think that also like has kind of tricked our brains into when we want to write something longer, or 30 seconds. Instagram reel, baby. You know what I mean? So
that will last forever.
Hey. But yeah, we do. And Chase has encouraged us to do that, and Robert has too.
Oh,
and
for real?
Together and separate, we've all kind of been like, all right, let's find an idea that to kind of freaking load up the bus and freaking put people on it and crank it up and go somewhere.
But in the meantime, I'm like totally content to write stuff like I'm bi because I can read the Bible in Hebrew and Greek. So.
Bible bi.
I mean, why write a feature when we can write stuff like, I guess I'm trans because I've been transformed? Like, come on. No, stuff like that, man.
Solid content.
Yeah, but we'll do something, man. Dude, we gotta, next time you're in town, man, we gotta make something together. We gotta
that would be so fun.
And
that would be very, very fun.
I don't mean 3 days. I mean like an afternoon, like a morning, and then we get lunch. We'll spend like a couple hours on something.
That is the most time I will get.
Yeah.
I would love to do anything.
Not 8 hours. We'll spend like 3 hours, and then we'll go eat biscuits.
Have a 3-hour minimum or maximum.
Yeah.
No, I would love to do that. That'd be super
For sure. We'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Hey, this is
you got to work on your book from Christian rap to Bud Light Seltzer, Fray Forde.
The Fray Forde story.
Oh, don't say the title on the way, bro. I haven't sold it.
It's bad marketing.
That was in confidence, bro.
Hey, man. Hey, listen. I know them Bud Light Seltzer checks are thick, though.
You would think they'd be better.
Really?
This is my take on Hollywood. You would think it'd be better.
Yeah.
Every time you think it'd be a lot, reduce that by half, and that's probably what.
Oh, wait, is it? It's doing TV. I mean, it's in. You get usage,
Commercials
right?
have changed. It's because most commercials are non-union now, and so they don't have residuals. Therefore, those big paydays people used to get were mostly from residuals, from an airing. But if it's not union, they don't have to do that. They pay you one time, and they're like, deuces, dog. Like, you did the work. That's it. And so I just did my first, technically big national campaign commercial when my Bud Light one. And, which is wild because I've been on commercials that have, been on TV and they've done the whole thing, but they weren't technically union-like commercials. It's so finicky, and the internet changed it. It's all.
Dang, man.
There was a comic, he said he loved it whenever he went to a bar and he'd see his commercial on, because every time he'd be like, I just made $400. Oh, there's another 400.
That's dope. That must be. That's like that old
on me.
Credit, baby. Yeah. No, it's fun.
Oh, dude. I was in a commercial. I was in a Lowe's commercial, dude, and I had a big part. I shot for 2 hours. I was directing this NASCAR driver's race car up to the front of the Lowe's, and they had me doing all different angles. In the edit, in the 30-second, I got, a second. It's a wide establishing shot, me going, cut, that's it. I got so much money, and it was I have never cashed a check so fast. I'd find it in my mailbox, and I would drive to the bank immediately. Just because I remember thinking, I'm like, if they made a mistake, too late.
They will figure it out.
Dude, it was a ridiculous. And I was in college. So it was a ridiculous amount of money.
I feel like also, the cost of living's higher. Like, if I could take this money and move back to Greenville, I'd be rich, bro.
Yeah.
I would, like rappers throw money in the street. I would do that. I would just throw it to people.
Yeah.
But it's so expensive to live here that you feel like you're just like balanced out to like normal living standards, Yeah. Man. Hey,
this has been really, really good, man. It's been really, really good. Really good catching up with you and man, you dropped so much knowledge in this episode, man. Yeah. I expect, but I think it's really good. I think it's going to be extremely helpful for people.
I think that's what everyone's going to say when they hear it. This was knowledgeable.
Extremely.
Knowledge.
That former Christian rapper child, Bud Light Seltzer, man.
Just like an artist.
Hey, Bud Light Seltzer man, new superhero. Make it Fray.
And we pitched several things here. We need to get into a conference room with those gigantic sticky boards and write stuff down.
Is this where we all pitch Fray our movie ideas?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, so it's a Bigfoot, and he gets domesticated, but then he wants to go find the other Bigfoots. He finds them, decides to stay with them, doesn't go back to the people.
This is a real idea he's had, bro. And he's been waiting.
I pitched this last time we were on set.
I knew it. I knew that was a fact. You had that like ready, bro.
I have beats.
Hold on. How many times do people from South Carolina pitch you something? It's got to be like weekly.
No, it's not.
The amount of stuff that people pitch me, people have got to pitch you more.
Okay, so this time it's not a Bigfoot.
Like, Fray, how about this? How about you put me in one of the commercials? And you're like, I have no control over that. You know what I mean?
I don't pass that.
Yeah.
I got a new one. It's a unicorn that gets domesticated. It wants to find the other unicorns.
It's like a really domestication.
Guys, it's PD after 11 p.m. We can't. We got to call his mom.
It's a fairy. The fairy gets domesticated.
And it's domesticated.
Oh no. Hey, we're gonna wind down here before we got to check in with Chase, our producer. Chase, what up?
I was on Instagram.
Is that the name of this segment?
That's the name.
Check in with Chase. Yeah.
We dug far and wide for this one.
I have a theme song and everything. I was on Instagram the other night, and this dude put on Instagram, this is word for word what he put on Instagram. They laughed at the Wright brothers. And now look, we fly planes all over the world. Let's get it. Nobody achieves success by following the standard. #motivation. Oh. And I was like, dude, you're a barber. You're not like charging in a war. You're not.
Barbers are literally philosophers. Like they are.
You're not inventing anything to help the world. You're getting white dudes fades.
I think it's the jacket, but I think you look like one of the people who would be doing that on Instagram.
And it's like, I like when like you get on Instagram and you see The Rock or Kevin Hart and they're like, wake up and work. And I'm like, oh, that is motivational. But when my friend Mark, who works at FedEx, is holding a box, he's holding a box and the caption is like, proving the haters wrong.
What?
It's like, what haters?
Proving the haters wrong by clearing $26,000 a year.
The manager who wrote me up is going to regret it.
No one's sitting at home like, hey, do you guys know Mark? I bet he'll never be able to do manual labor for $10 an hour. He don't have the chops. And so, yeah.
Hey, Chase, write this bit down.
Write that down?
Yeah, write that down.
You work top with your type 5. I love it.
That's what checking in with Chase is.
It's just me. It's just me working on my
It's Chase running bits, bro. Running bit. I love that.
Chase dogging on barbers. Spoken like a man who hasn't seen Barbershop 1.
Okay,
2.
that's different, man. I love that movie.
The Ice Cube classics.
Barbershop 1.
Beauty Shop.
Yeah.
Who drank my apple juice?
So you have.
Of course I have.
All right.
I'm for the culture.
The blackest host on this podcast, Chase Bridges, everybody. Hey, Fray, we always end the show with praise reports. It's just something you're excited about, man. Something you want to plug. Something. Just tell the people about how God's been good to you, brother. You know about that. You went to Redemption for 16 years. You know all about that.
I guess they're a testimony.
Yeah.
I'm like finally. We were just saying like things are finally shooting again. We got some like fun shorts we're shooting with like some friends out here in LA coming up.
Yeah.
So just check out Koki.tv, and we have the content, man.
Dude.
And we're just writing. Really excited about Bud Light Seltzer.
Yeah.
Just really stoked. I think it's gonna really shift my career.
Hey.
I think it's gonna.
Hey, you got that
it's
union.
gonna help.
You got that union Bud Light says.
I got that
spot,
union
bro.
money, bro. I got that union
You
money.
gotta cash
So I'm really
those
excited about that paycheck. Amazing.
Hey, paychecks are fat, dude. It's the peak mailbox
I'm
money, dude.
Getting married, that's the thing I'm most excited about. We're getting married in September. So that's been our life for the past few weeks. So check out my wedding, bro. Check out my wedding.
No, we've never had a
Dropping
guest.
September 5th, bro.
This man's plugging his wedding. He's like, y'all
Plugging
go
my
ahead.
wedding, bro.
Y'all go ahead. I'm doing.
Yeah.
You're plugging dates. I'm gonna be in Anaheim. I'm gonna be getting married in the Southeast.
Come through, bro. Open bar, dog. Like,
I'm gonna be in
everyone.
Mobile, Alabama, and
It's
then
just Bud Light Seltzers at the bar.
Our honeymoon is sponsored by Bud Light Seltzer. That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
man.
That's awesome. PD, what's your praise report, dog?
My praise report is finally getting more backstory about the Christian rap collective thing.
No,
because
we can dive in some more one day. So like off the mic. We can get real deep, bro.
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
I thought that was a bit at first, and then y'all kept talking about it,
Oh,
and I was like,
No,
this is real?
The
it's real,
picture
it's
is
real.
legendary.
You got
Oh, man.
dude. The pictures they got the long Soldier Boy tees.
Yeah.
Oh man, they got the
yeah.
old graphics that you could tell just the buddy was like, I got
Actually,
Microsoft Paint.
Can I redo my plug?
Yeah.
I need everyone to go on YouTube and YouTube Brave Hearts for Christ. Number 4
Brave
for the
Hearts
4
for-
members.
Hey, we're gonna drop it in the show notes. We're gonna drop the link in the show notes. Koki.tv.
Please drop the link.
We're gonna
watch
drop
my
it.
videos, bro, and that would make me very happy. That'd be sick.
Oh man, dude, my praise report is this episode, man. This has been really good. I think anytime we get to learn about tying in like church and entertainment and the world of comedy, I just always think it's a really, really cool thing, and to get to watch that
And some
hear you
good
talk
Bud Light
about it.
Seltzer
Hey
talk.
man, if we get to this is the golden ratio.
Yeah.
This is the golden ratio of podcasts.
some 13-year-old homeschooled kid's gonna be like, hey mom, can I have a Bud
Can
Light
I have
Seltzer?
I heard Fray Forde on Church Stories.
I was a 13-year-old homeless kid, and look at me now. You can do anything through Christ. That's freaking.
Scholars actually believe when the Apostle Paul wrote that he was meaning you could star in a Bud Light Seltzer commercial
You
this
can look
union.
Bud Light. You can look Natty Light. All of the people.
You can do all things. Hey, this has been great. Fray, thanks so much, man. We're gonna drop all your links below. People are gonna keep up with you, my man. And
Super cool.
Hey, this has been a great episode. Chase,
Yeah.
write that down. You
My
write that.
bit?
You write that bit down.
Man,
Right,
you
for
act
real,
like...
I agree with. Hey, so you doing
gotta write-
stand up?
No, I'm afraid.
This man.
I prefer to act.
Oh,
He's got a really solid Johnny Cash bit. He's got to start doing
He's
stand
got
up.
a ton of bits, yeah, and he just does them for the episode. But I'm like, hey, dude, you got to go. You're gonna eat it. Just accept that. Accept that you're gonna eat it a couple times. But then the few laughs that you get, like it's worth it.
Chase, I was just saying, I was talking to my wife with my brother, and I was saying I think I saw you on Instagram, and I didn't know you were linked up with the Shama man and the PD man, bro. And I thought that was so cool because I saw this kid when he was in high school, when he was a little kid, bro, doing the theater, doing the plays. Most people don't stick with that stuff. They learn that.
No. Yeah.
They get out the game, and I was like, shout out to my man Chase for staying with the game, bro, doing the wave. That's super dope. So you should do some stand-up. You should do everything you can and just see what you're good at and keep having fun, dude.
Thanks,
you're great.
Man.
You're very funny.
I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
It's, I mean, what do they say? Like, fail fast and fail forward. So it's like, if you're gonna fail, just go ahead and get it out the way, and then.
I mean, you're gonna fail.
Hey, bro,
I mean, you're not that funny.
It's gonna get bleak, all right?
Yeah.
It's gonna get freaking dark. And I one time bombed at Coffee Underground so bad I walked off the stage and directly to my car.
I remember that night.
I don't think
I've
I
been
talked to
booed
any
off stage.
dude.
Like,
You
actually
have?
booed.
Where at?
I've been actually booed.
Where at?
I was in New York, dog. I had been doing stand-up for like a year, and my uncle decided I was visiting New York, and he was like, "You're not black enough, bro."
What?
Dang.
Is your Uncle
I was
Tracy
like,
Morgan?
I'm fired.
You're not black enough. I'm gonna take you to a real club.
Because I wasn't black enough, and he said I needed to do more black comedy, and I was like, I like doing mixed comedy. I would like to keep doing that. And he's like, I got you a show, bro. And I was like, I'm good. But he was very insistent. And so I said, all right. And so I show up at the show, and there's like 400 people.
Oh, my
and it's
gosh.
a packed venue. I'd done stand-up like 3 times.
Oh, my
3
gosh.
times. And I'm like, I'm in a Superman t-shirt. This is a fancy club. Like, it's a club. And I don't think I should be here. And I get on stage. Right before I get on stage, they're like, yo, from Don't Be a Menace to Society While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood from Wayne and Brothers. So give it up for, Alex Cole, this big dude, bro. Crowd goes like
Freaking
nuts.
A.
He does 20 minutes on pregnant women in strip clubs. I don't know if I can say that. And he did that. He did 20, and I was like, dog, I don't have any material about this subject. I'm like bombing here, bro.
So
and then I went up.
Wait a sec.
Wait, what?
He's also destroying for 20 minutes, right?
Just like
This Def Jam,
murdering.
People are like stomping and leaning and freaking.
Throwing stuff.
Golly,
And
man.
when it was done, they all had the vibe of like, well, that's the end of the night. There's nothing left. And they were like, give it up. He's a newcomer from South Carolina.
Oh.
And they give it up for Fray Forde. I walk up and I try to do a joke and it bombs. I do another joke and it bombs. And then I'm like, let me do some crowd work. And there was this group in the front of nice ladies out having a great night. And I said, look at this table. It looks like BET Sex in the City. And they all went.
They just shook their heads.
They just shook their head. And then the dude at the table went, boo, you suck.
Oh.
And then they all started booing.
Oh.
And then I got so afraid I ran off stage. I did 2 minutes, two full minutes. And I ran off stage, and I got outside, and I realized I left my phone on the stage.
Oh, man.
And so then I had to get a new phone.
You were like, I can't go back in there.
I can't go back in there, bro. And so now I have an iPhone. It works out.
I did. Have you ever been to the Say What open mics on Sunday nights at Coffee Underground?
Where?
They're like the slam poetry open mics.
Oh, no, but my sister used to do these.
I think
she used to do poetry.
Yeah, I've seen her there before. My sister used to go too, and then my sister one time she was like, "You should go to the Say What open mic on Sunday nights. They they have music, they have slam poetry. You can also do comedy. You can just go up and do comedy." So I was like, "Yeah, sure." I go in and I'm like, "Oh, I'm a performer." They're like, "It's gonna be $5." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm performing." They're like, "Yeah, still gonna be $5." So I give the dude $5, and then they put my name down. And then the lady introduced me. No joke, dude. This sounds fake. the lady is like, okay, I'll introduce you. She goes up, mixed lady. She goes up and she's hosting the night. She's hosting, so she's introducing acts or whatever. And she goes, guys, we got up. Before I'm going to introduce a very funny young man, local. His name is Shama. I'm going to introduce him right now. But before that, I want to share a little poem that I've been working on. And this lady, mixed lady, a little bigger, bald, she proceeds to tell a poem about her ovarian cancer. And at one point, like, hands up, it's like, God, you took my womb, God. You closed my womb. You took cancer in my body and it ruined my womanhood and my womb and dude, just go. I'm talking, dude, no, I'm just, and I'm in the back and I'm like, I should just leave. I cannot. There is no way that I should just leave.
My ovarian cancer. I had a
honestly,
whole
that's all I had. My notepad on the front just said ovarian cancer and had one of the squiggly arrows and it pointed to open it up. Bro, I went up and I mean, and then she goes to introduce me. She was like, guys, the next performer coming to the stage, he's a virgin. Which just means they just call people who've never been to the stage before a virgin.
Oh, I was like,
so
that's
she's
so
like,
mean.
the next person coming up to the stage is a virgin, and my thoughts like,
the next person has never intimately touched another human being.
It's like the next person coming up stage is a virgin. Give it up for Shama, and then I go up and just dude. So then, not only like is the freaking atmosphere sombered by the most heart-wrenching ovarian cancer poem anybody's ever said or heard in their entire lives, but then I get called a virgin. And I'm up there like, hey, I'm Shama, and I got a weird name. I know I got a weird name. I'm from Africa, and I just freaking just... Get
out of here, bro.
They let me finish. No, it was just like, huh. Okay.
Talk about your prostate cancer or get off the stage.
Bro, I
that
literally...
was the host.
And I got off the stage and just, I remember I walked up the stairs. I parked in a parking garage, just silently, just like, and I went home.
I guess I was thinking
you
of it
paid
at the time.
for that. That's
like
the worst part.
Sick joke. Yeah.
At least I popped for free.
What were you gonna say, Petey?
I was gonna say when you said you got in your car and left, I thought of another time. It was when me and you both bombed super hard in front of Dusty Slay.
Oh yeah,
That was rough.
I remember
so
that.
funny.
Yeah, so we brought out Dusty and his girlfriend doing a big show, and then me and Shama just completely
Just ate it
to start the show.
Oh, me and Chaz did this once where we thought it'd be funny. We would want to do an ATL themed show, and we got all Atlanta comedians. And we thought it'd be funny because they had an underwear comedy show. If we came out in our underwear to host the show. But no one was prepared for that, and that turns out is just assault. Like, it's just not okay. Like, you can't do that. And everyone was like grossed out. Like they were not. Like people went, ugh. Like they reacted, and the rest of the night was terrible. And I for years I thought that hung on me in Atlanta. Like that horrible show we did.
You underwear comic man. You the undie duo, right? Formerly known as the Christian Trio Collective, right? Christian Rap Trio.
I'm like, why do you know all my credits? Great.
Wait a second. So after it bombed the intro, why did y'all just put clothes on?
Because Chaz won't let go of a bit, bro. He commits to the bit, and he was so committed. Man. He refused to put clothes. I put a shirt on, and I was like, I gotta at least do the shirt, bro. And he went out in tighty whitey, bro. And
he was like, it'll get funnier.
Chaz, you know, he has a bit that pops up in my mind every once in a while. The one where suicide is a difficult law to enforce, you know?
Oh, yeah. That's very funny. Yeah.
What is it? Does it
Oh, we already
continue?
did it.
Yeah, that's it.
I always like my favorite Past Goebel bit that I always like. I still think of this joke was he would go up on stage and would be like, this is a song about how my brother was diagnosed with autism. And then he would bring out his guitar and play it for a minute straight, like in a pretty good riff that he worked really hard on. And he would play for a full minute, he's ripping, and people are waiting for him to start singing, and he hit the final chord, and he just goes, he was born with it.
That's great.
Yeah, so that joke always got me.
Dude, where is he at? Is he in Seattle? Is he in...
He just travels, man. That man's a nomad. I think
Really?
I don't know where he's at right now.
Dang.
Hey, well, we're flying y'all back in for the Coffee Underground open mic reunion tour.
Yeah.
I'm
The greats. We, out of tradition, PD and I are going to kick it off in our underwear and then Bob. and
then Adam
halfway-
Schulte is going to yell at you for 30 minutes.
He's going to yell at me, and then halfway in the show, I'm going to get embarrassed. I'm going to put on a shirt.
You shouldn't be doing this. This is inappropriate. This is not okay.
Hey, it's been good. I feel like we ended like 10 minutes ago, and then we gave everybody the
18.
best 18
Bonus
minutes.
track, dog.
Hey, it's been good. Fray, thank you, man. We'll keep up
Thank
with
you for having me. This is
Appreciate
very
it.
fun.
Awesome, man. Thank you.